Okay, at 7 o'clock, I'll call this common council meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The clerk call roll, please.
Chapman?
Here.
Evans?
Here.
Booty?
Aye.
Justman?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Rungy?
Here.
Next item of business is the agenda approval. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as printed?
So moved.
Motion by Rungy,
Second?
second by Foodie. Any further discussion, questions, or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approve minutes of previous meetings. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved?
Motion by Foodie,
Second.
second by Evans. Any further discussion on those? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approve minutes of intervening meetings. Motion to that effect?
Sure enough. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Evans, second by Foodie. Any further discussion on those? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Public appearances regarding agenda items. Is there anybody here wishing to speak on the items that are on the agenda for tonight?
Am I on the agenda?
I don't believe so, are you?
I was in order.
Nope,
Premise extension for 1850s,
Yeah.
then you are on.
under public safety.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to wait till then? Correct? Stuart, anything to say?
Just reiterating what we've already talked about for the Highway S weight posting, how I feel that that's, that ordinance by keeping it in place opens up a whole can of worms that I don't feel is right for that road. I'll put it that way. And I think I've voiced my opinion multiple different times, right, how it will impact my business in addition to multiple other businesses that you currently use that road, moving forward with that ordinance as it stands, so.
Very good. Any other people wishing to speak? Let the record show there's no others. Moving on to communications. Do you have any communications?
I do not.
As we just talked about it earlier, the road project on Oak Street is moving forward. We now have the signed lease agreement with the county, so the gathering plaza will move forward now. I'm thinking the next things, storm sewer work, underground utility work is all completed now, so we'll be looking at getting the grade put in place, and curb and gutter will be the next step, and sidewalk being poured. Any questions on that? Seeing none, moving on to Resolution 1, 2024, approve mayoral appointments to the 3rd Ward Alderman. Whereas the mayor has diligently searched for individuals willing to give of themselves by serving as 3rd Ward Alderman, whereas the mayor wishes to make the following appointment. Troy Justman, 3rd Ward Alderman, term goes to 4/20 of 27. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council, City of Juneau, accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council, the City of Juneau, this 15th day of April 2025. I'll entertain a motion for acceptance, Resolution 1, 2025.
So moved?
Motion by Foodie, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Rungy. Any further discussion? Troy was one of the 11 people that received write-in votes. So I approached him and asked if he was interested. He says he didn't know much more about it other than he's appeared before our plan commission on 1 or 2 occasions. Thought it was an interesting endeavor and thought he'd dip his toe in the lake, I guess. So at this time, roll call vote, please.
Booty?
Aye.
Rungy?
Aye.
These other people can't really vote yet.
Nope.
And Evans?
Aye.
You got 2 more.
They can't really vote yet.
He can, but they can, can't they?
They're not swearing yet.
Oh, I thought you had them sworn in previously, I thought you said. Oh,
Well, I have, but I I guess some wanna do it on camera, so I guess we can. How do you wanna?
Oh, and I was under the impression
Okay,
those
so
two were, I know
let's
Troy
start over.
wasn't until we passed this, but I
So
didn't realize
Justin will
those
be
two.
a no.
Okay.
So let's start over. So, Foodie,
Aye.
Rungy,
Aye.
Chapman,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Okay. So they
Resolution,
were brought in, sorry about that.
resolution 1/2025 is passed. So at this time, you have to swear Troy in,
I
correct?
do. I'll have you stand up.
Okay.
I'll let you read that to me and then, I guess just read it to me and put your hand up there.
Okay. I, Troy Justman, have you been elected or appointed to the office of Alderperson, Ward 3, but have not yet entered upon the duties, therefore swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Wonderful, thank you.
Congratulations,
I just need a
Troy.
signature.
Welcome.
And for the viewing public, we've got also turnover of, in the first ward as well as in the second ward. Doug Lee represents the second ward along with Jane Foodie now, and Bob Chapman represents the first ward along with Richard Evans. Welcome aboard, gentlemen.
If you would like to be read in as well,
I don't have
it's up to you. Okay. We did it already, but he, and you,
We did it.
okay, perfect. We're all set to go then.
Very good. Next item of business is elect council president. Richard Evans is the one with the most tenure here right now. There's a motion to, you can nominate anybody from the floor.
Is that something you're interested in? Being council president again?
Whatever, sure.
Don't fight it, Paul.
As long as the mayor never,
Oh, I'm feeling a
as long as the mayor
little
is
lousy
here every
mornings.
time, huh? I nominate Jane Foodie. She's been in this area for a long time. You know, she's familiar with City Hall, its operations and everything else, so.
So you weren't nominating Richard?
I was just asking if he was
Okay.
interested.
All right. There's a motion by Rungy, is there a second? For Jane Foodie?
Second.
Second by Troy Justman. Any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations from the floor? Last and final time, any other nominations from the floor? This time I'll entertain a unanimous ballot to elect Jane Foodie as council president. Somebody want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Evans,
I'll second it.
second by Chapman. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Jane Foodie is now elected our council president. Congratulations, Jane. Okay, resolution 2/2025, appointments to committees. Would somebody like to read that resolution? Richard, you want to read that one?
Resolution 2-2025, appointment to committees. Whereas Chapter 2 of the Juneau Code of Ordinances requires that the mayor appoint common council committee representatives at the first common council meeting in April, and whereas the mayor hereby appoints the following individuals to a one-year term to the following committees. Cable TV, Jane Foodie, Chairman. Community Development Authority, Doug Lee. Covenant Committee, Doug Lee. Finance, Richard Evans, Chairman, Jane Foodie, Bob Chapman. Personnel, Richard Evans, Chairman, James Rungy, Bob Chapman. Plan Commission, Troy Justman. Public Safety, Jane Foodie, Chairman, Troy Justman, James Rungy. Public Works, James Rungy, Chairman, Doug Lee, Troy Justman. Recreation Committee, Jane Foodie, Chairman. Library Board, James Rungy. Utility Commission, Richard Evans, Doug Lee. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau on this 15th day of April 2025. I would move for passage of resolution 2-2025.
Motion by Evans, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rungy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Evans?
Aye.
Rungy?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
Foodie?
Aye.
Justman?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Resolution 2/2025 is passed. Resolution 3/2025, appointments to the Board of Review. You'd like to read that, Jim?
Resolution 3/2025, appointments to the Board of Review. Whereas Chapter 2:1610 of the Juneau Court Ordinances requires that the Board of Review be appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the Common Council. Now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Juneau that the Board of Review shall consist of the mayor, clerk treasurer, and one alderman from each ward. One alternate as follows. First ward is Richard Evans. Second ward, Jane Foodie. Third ward, James Rungy. First ward alternate is Bob Chapman. Second ward alternate is Doug Lee. Third ward alternate is Troy Justman. Mayor Dan Wagner. Clerk treasurer Megan Buckta. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 15th day of April 2025. I move to approve Resolution 3/2025.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Evans? Excuse me, Foodie?
Aye.
Rungy?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
Evans?
Aye.
Justman?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Next, we have Resolution 4/2025, official newspapers. Whereas the Beaver Dam Daily Citizen is a daily newspaper published by Capital Newspaper, Inc., and is a qualified newspaper, and whereas Watertown Daily Times is a daily newspaper published by Adams Publishing Group and is a qualified newspaper, and now therefore be resolved by the Common Council, City of Juneau, that the Beaver Dam Daily Citizen and the Watertown Daily Times are hereby designated the official newspapers for the City of Juneau. Passed by the Common Council, City of Juneau, this 15th day of April. Is there a motion to that effect? Motion by Chapman,
I'll second it.
second by Lee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Chapman?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Evans?
Aye.
Foodie?
Aye.
Justman?
Aye.
Rungy?
Aye.
Resolution 4/2025 is passed. Next we have Resolution 5/2025, official depositories. Would you like to read that, Mr. Rungy?
Sure. Resolution 5/2025, official depositories. Whereas the City of Juneau is hereby required by law to designate official depositories. Now therefore be it resolved that the following banking institutions qualify as public depositories under Chapter 34 of the Wisconsin State Statutes and shall be and are hereby designated until further action as public depositories for all public monies coming into the hands of the clerk treasurer of the City of Juneau in Dodge County, Wisconsin. Time and demand deposits, Farmers and Merchants Union Bank, Landmark Credit Union, Bank First, that's for LifeQuest, I assume from, and I'm not sure if they still are LifeQuest. You might want to check on that,
They changed something.
because LifeQuest is pulling out,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Savings deposits, Firemen's and Merchants Union Bank, Landmark Credit Union, Local Government Investment Pool. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 15th day of April 2025. So moved.
Motion by Rungy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Evans. Any further discussion on that? Nothing changed on any of these, correct, Megan?
Right.
They've all been a main
All the same.
staple for all our investments. Roll call vote, please.
Rungy?
Aye.
Evans?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
Foodie?
Aye.
Justman?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Resolution 5/2025 is passed. Next, we have Resolution 6/2025, appointments to municipal offices, weed commissioner. Troy, would you like to read that one?
Sure.
Resolution 6/2025, appointments to municipal offices, weed commissioner. Whereas Chapter 2 of the Juneau Code of Ordinances require that the following municipal officers be appointed by the mayor for the following terms and be confirmed by the council. Whereas 66.97 of the state statutes require that the following officers be appointed by the mayor for the term and confirmed by the council. Municipal office, weed commissioner, David Beal, term expires 4/2026. Now therefore be it resolved that the common council of the city of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the common council of the city of Juneau this 15th day of April 2025.
Motion by Justman, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Lee. Any further discussion? This job puts Mr. Beal right over in the tax bracket, for the extra money that he gets for this.
There's 8 other jobs.
No other discussions, questions, or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Justman,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Chapman,
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Cootie,
Aye.
Rungy.
Aye.
Resolution 6/2025 is passed. Robert, Resolution 7/2025, set date and time for the board of review. Would you like to read that?
Sure. Resolution 7/2025, set date and time for Board of Review, whereas state statute 70.47 requires that cities hold their tax assessment Board of Review anytime during the 45-day period beginning the 4th Monday in April. Now therefore it be resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau will meet to open the Board of Review on Tuesday, May 6th, 2025, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at City Hall. Be it further resolved that Deputy Clerk will publish this notice as a Class 1 notice as required by law, passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 15th day of April 2025. The motion.
Motion by Chapman, is there a second?
Second?
Second by Foodie. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Chapman,
Aye.
Cootie,
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Justman,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Rungy.
Aye.
Resolution 7/2025 is passed. Next, we move on to approve the payments of bills. Checks for $839,520.98. Electronic transfers of $249,852.62. Is there a motion to approve the payment of bills?
So moved.
Motion by Rungy, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Evans. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Rungy.
Aye.
Evans.
Aye.
Chapman,
Aye.
Cootie,
Aye.
Justman,
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Payment of bills have been approved. Reports of officials, Mayor, Resolution 8/2025, approved Community Development Investment Vibrant Spaces Grant Agreement between the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation and the City of Juneau. Whereas the City of Juneau has submitted an application to the WEDC requiring funds from the WEDC's Community Development Investment Vibrant Spaces Grant Program. Whereas the WEDC has determined that the City of Juneau is an eligible recipient of the CDIVS funds. And whereas in the reliance upon the application, WEDC has approved the City of Juneau for up to $50,000 in CDIVS funds. And whereas the Mayor of the City of Juneau recommends the agreement as shown in Exhibit A, now therefore it be resolved that the Common Council, City of Juneau, accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council, City of Juneau, this 15th day of April 2025. Entertain a motion for Resolution 8/2025.
I move for passage of resolution 8/2025.
Motion by Evans, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chapman. This Vibrant Space Grant was something that MSA made us aware of. It's something new, and this has to go towards something like the gathering place, the gathering plaza that we've got in the courthouse square. So it was a win-win for us to be able to what do we have, about $3,000 applying for this grant?
Yeah.
And we're accepted, so. No other questions? Roll call vote, please.
Evans?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
Rudy?
Aye.
Justman?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Rungy?
Aye.
Resolution 8, 2025 is passed. Moving on, clerk treasurer, anything to report?
We had a successful election and that was the last for the year.
Thank goodness.
Moving on, written reports, any questions on the building permits, the police department report, the Juneau Fire and Rescue report, or the Juneau EMS report? Seeing none, reports of committees, commissions, and boards. We have our librarian, or library director, Connie Schuett.
Hi, thank you. I brought calendars for anyone that's interested in our April and May programs. We also will be starting the window project, so thank you to the council for approving that capital funds. We have the windows on order and they're hoping to have them installed the first week of June and wrap up things by June 10th. So thank council for approving that capital investment. I also wanted, with summer coming up and family activities coming out and about, we always have our summer reading program, but I want to make council and city aware of some of the adventure passes that we offer. You can check out a pass to go to the Milwaukee County Zoo, the Schlitz Audubon Park. You can get a state parks pass, all with your library card. And those are just some things that families can do for fun, free activities through the local library. So I just wanted to highlight those things for the summer.
Any questions for our library director? Thank you, Connie. No, moving on, plan commission. We have a resolution 9/2025, approve rezoning parcel number 241-1115-2113-007 from O2 general office mixed use to R3 multifamily residential. I'll entertain a motion to that effect. Oh. Yeah, I guess you best read it. Excuse me.
Do you want me to?
Yeah, would you like to?
Resolution 9/2025, approve rezoning general office mixed use to mixed use, general office mixed use to R3 multifamily residential. Whereas the Plan Commission held a public hearing on Monday, March 31st, 2025 to hear public comment regarding the proposed change in zoning for the following parcel from general office mixed use to R3 multifamily residential, and the tax key number is 241-1115-2113-007 at the location of 420 West North Street. Whereas the Plan Commission recommends to approve the zoning change from general office mixed use to R3 multifamily residential. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 15th day of April 2025. I move to approve Resolution 9/2025.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Justman. Motion by Foodie, second by Justman. This gentleman's looking to turn the old clinic, Beaver Dam Clinic, into an 8-unit apartment complex. He appeared twice. We had a public hearing. Naturally, we had one party that lived right next door opposed. That was the only one that came in opposed. And I think by the end of the night, we had them talking, and he's not here tonight, so I suspect that he kind of accepts it now. Definitely has more distance between the apartment to the west of him, this proposed apartment, than he does to the apartment to the south of him. So I think after he heard what he was gonna do, they're proposing 8 1,400 square foot units at a base rent of $1,600 a month. So I'm thinking that they're gonna be some upper end units and what have you. So gentleman's done this before in other communities, so we're looking for the best to come out of it. And beats the heck out of having a vacant building, you know, beyond the tax rolls. Right now, while it's belongs to Beaver Dam Community Hospital, we receive no taxes, so it's a good thing, I guess, for the community.
What was the rent you said?
1,600 is what he said he was. base representatives.
Are they combining there's units in the back down
Upper and
below?
lower, yeah.
Are they being converted
Yeah.
so that they're included in the 8?
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Cody,
Aye.
Justman,
Aye.
Chapman,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Roby.
Aye.
Resolution 9/2025 has passed. The only other thing for Plan Commission, we look at to extend the pilot program for the chicken ordinance, or the proposed chicken program. We had 2 property owners that came in here. They had some things that they needed, that they'd like to see changed, which we went along with. And before we know absolutely everything about this, we're gonna keep it as a pilot program before we put it into our ordinance books. Because it's expensive to do that, and it's expensive to change it later on. So the pilot program will continue with the same guidelines, 6 birds per household, up to 10 permits can be taken out. One of the things they asked is if every year that they didn't have to go door to door and collect signatures from their neighbors. We elected to go along with that they just have to collect it initially, and then it'll be renewed without question. Renewal permit would be $50 a year first year, and then $25 each year after that. Then there was some language on the size of the chicken runs that they could put in there. We had specified a width times length, and some of them said that didn't work out in their yards. They'd like a square footage, so I guess their chicken runs have to be 100 square feet or something like that. So if they want to make them in an L or make them in a circle or whatever, we can do it that way. So, and the 2 people that we had were very cordial and thought that it was going very well. And I think currently we only have 5 or 6 of them out there, so it's not like people are standing in line to get one or anything like that. So that's all I have from Plan Commission. If you've got any questions, I'll try to answer them. That's David, outgoing alderperson Dave Gratton's forte, so he usually reported on this stuff. So, nothing else, we'll move on to finance. Richard?
Finance, we had a meeting this last month. We talked about purchasing the radar speed signs. This was forwarded to finance from public safety. They requested we purchase 4 signs. 1 will be placed on East Center Street to slow down the traffic on that street. And the other 3 will be placed where the police chief deems necessary. And the finance committee approved purchase of 4 signs, and there'll be a resolution shortly. We also talked about the upcoming renewal of the community center lease with Chef Chance. We reviewed the history of utility and maintenance costs for the building. The committee approved submitting a 2-year lease. Rent would remain the same for the first year and have a small increase for the second year. And there were also some language changes that were made to update how they deal with phones, because everybody has their own phones now, so stuff. So yeah, that was the gist of our meeting, and I have a resolution here. Resolution 10-2025, approved purchase of 4 solar-powered radar speed signs. Whereas the public safety,
I was just wondering if we didn't need a resolution for the community center contract.
it hasn't been
Not
signed yet.
Okay.
Chef Chance has.
Okay. Sorry, Dick.
That's okay. Resolution 10-2025, approve the purchase of 4 solar-powered radar speed signs. Whereas the Public Safety and Finance Committees have reviewed a request for the purchase of 4 solar-powered radar speed signs, and whereas the Public Safety and Finance Committees received a quote of $4,805 per solar-powered radar speed sign, including mounting set. And whereas the Finance Committee recommends using the 2025 capital borrowing fund to pay for the 4 solar-powered radar speed signs, and whereas the Public Safety and Finance Committees recommend the purchase of 4 solar-powered radar speed signs not to exceed $19,220. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 15th day of April, 2025. I would move for passage of Resolution 10-2025.
I'll second.
Motion by Evans, second by Rungy. Any further discussion? This is kind of on the heels of repealing the weight restriction on East Center Street. I think the overwhelming majority felt that slowing the speed down on that street would certainly be a big help for the noise and the vibration and what have you. So this kind of sprung from that. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Foodie?
Evans?
Oaks? Sorry, guys. Evans?
Aye.
Rungy?
Aye.
Chapman?
Aye.
Foodie? Aye. Justin?
Aye.
Lee?
Aye.
Resolution 10-2025 is passed. Anything else from finance, Richard?
I don't think so.
Personnel? Do you have anything to report on that? There's-
Well, personnel, we had a couple of meetings with the rec department where we found an applicant or approved an applicant for the rec director job, and he's presently going through his physical testing and stuff that he has to do, but he accepted the job, so hopefully he'll be a rec director real soon.
Exciting news.
Yeah, yeah. That's all that personnel did this month, I think.
We actually had two candidates. Did both phone interviews and in-person interviews. All right, moving on, public safety, Jane.
Public safety, we did meet, and yearly report was given by the police chief. They had 2,000 calls of service. 1850s, 172 East Oak Street. We've talked about their extension of premise request. We talked about the radar signs, which was approved in finance, and we approved to fill the vacant police officer position, which we're very happy to do. EMS gave their report. EMS received a grant, their 2025 state grant, so thank you, Dan Zink, for the work that he did to receive that grant. And the leaf springs have been repaired on the 2352 ambulance. We reviewed the fire department report and the annual report. And a new grant for washer and turnout gear was applied for by the fire department. And we have a few resolutions here. Resolution 11-2025, approved to extend premise the 1850s Inn Sidewalk Cafe, whereas the Public Safety Committee has reviewed a request and site plans from the 1850s Inn to extend premise to the sidewalk at 172 East Oak Street for a sidewalk cafe, and whereas the 1850s Inn requests to have their licensed premise extended to include the sidewalk in front of their establishment from April 15th, 2025 through October 31st, 2025 as a part of the pilot program. And whereas all hard liquor and wine coolers must be in plastic containers, and whereas the outdoor seating area must be ADA compliant along with the 5-foot clear space from curb to dining area, and whereas the Public Safety Committee recommends approving the request as presented above. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 15th day of April. I move to approve Resolution 11-2025.
I'll second.
Motion by Foodie, second by Rungy. Any further discussion?
There just was, we have April 15th, October 31st, but of course he has to wait for the sidewalk to be completed, and then he will be installing his outdoor premise.
This is still a pilot program.
Yeah.
Is this the third year?
Third or fourth.
So far, hasn't been any problems.
I would agree with you though, with, I think where you're going, that, I think we have everything pretty much ironed out, but it might be time to,
It's probably time to start thinking about codifying it or
I think the big thing was getting through the street project,
Yeah.
seeing how much room they had to play with and what have you out there, so.
should have a little bit additional room.
At least next year, then probably plow forward and make it an ordinance if you like. Any other questions? See none, roll call vote please, unless with Mr., you have anything you wanted to add, or?
I really don't, just if anybody had any questions.
okay,
Roll call vote?
Moody,
aye.
Rungy,
Aye.
Chapman, Evans,
Aye.
Jocelyn, Lee.
Aye.
Resolution 11, 2025 is passed.
Resolution 12, 2025, approve appointment of EMS officers. Whereas the Emergency Medical Services EMS has held a general election for the EMS officers, the following officers will fill the named offices with their terms beginning in February 2025. Nate Zink, Assistant Coordinator for 2 years. Brittany Borchert, Training Officer for 2 years. Whereas the EMS bylaws require that the Common Council of the City of Juneau confirm the EMS elections. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau accepts the aforementioned recommendation. Passed by the Common Council of the City of Juneau this 15th day of April 2025. I move for passage of Resolution 12, 2025.
I'll second.
Oh, I got it. Motion by Foodie, second by Chapman. Any further discussion? I'd just like to give kudos to Brittany Borchert, the training officer. She recertified the rest of us firemen for CPR, and she does a very good job. She's really hands-on with everybody and what have you, so, yeah, it's great that we've got some people. I think there's more than one. I know Nate is certified, I think, as a CPR trainer too, so it's just great to have some of those people that put forth their knowledge and experience, try to help others. So, just a good thing to have all the firemen certified in CPR as well, so try to make an effort on that. Other questions or comments? Roll call vote, please.
Moody,
Aye.
Chapman,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Jocelyn,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Rungy.
Aye.
Resolution 12, 2025 is passed. Anything else, Jay?
No, thank you.
Public Works.
I guess that's me now.
Yeah, you're gonna have to read that. That long-winded letter there on the assessment report.
And we got some other stuff. We had the meeting on March 26th of 2025. We talked about the East Center Street weight limits again. And, there was some concern about the residents on Center Street, not just the businesses, not the townships, but the people on the street. It was a heated discussion like usual, and it was finally voted on, and it was voted 2-1 to carry the motion to eliminate the weight limits on East Center Street. And there will be a resolution to that effect later, or not a resolution, but a first reading of an ordinance to eliminate an ordinance. We had a discussion about renaming Industrial Avenue because there is a problem with semis that go down the wrong street to the wrong, then they end up having to try to turn around, and I knew Dave Broughton had a problem because he now has like a container there for he can't turn around in his driveway. And he has to help them back out and everything. Talked to Joe the other day about that, and I said it was one of the reasons being, and one of the things that was brought up was that it was some of the trucks looking for Sensient. And driving down the street the other day, I noticed that there's a sign there that says Sensient WWTP for the wastewater treatment plant. And I thought, well, maybe all we have to do is remove the blue sign that says Sensient, because if you're a truck driver, you're coming through, you got all your stuff on, it's like, hey, Sensient, you turn down the road. And so, Joe's gonna look into, maybe getting rid of that sign. And
Or
then-
we have to have another one right below it that says plant general or general plant.
Or something, yeah, we're gonna have to.
Because
change
I
something.
don't know if we don't wanna direct the people that need to come down to the treatment, their pre-treatment plant or
Right.
not, so, yeah, we're gonna have to come up with something.
Yeah, but that's gonna be brought up at the next,
The confusing thing is
Public Works.
the road that goes down to the weed pile and out to Grattan's and also to the wastewater treatment, or the pre-treatment plant for Sensian is named Industrial Road.
Right.
And the other road that cuts between them is Industrial Drive.
right,
So, yeah,
and they kinda jig around there too, so, we're gonna look at that at, the meeting coming up at the end of the month. We got, which is going to be the next resolution here, and that's going to be for the preliminary assessment report for all the work on Oak Street downtown. And we did discuss the possibility of to purchase a post auger attachment for the cemetery. Joe had brought it up that we have a lot more internments, and there now, and so instead of having to try to dig the holes by hand, there was a auger attachments for the, I don't know, well, there's an auger attachment he's got for some of our equipment, and we approved the purchase of that using the cemetery funds of $3,400.
goes on the skid loader.
Yeah, on the skid loader, okay, and then, so we passed that, and supposedly we're gonna get that, and that'll be, well, it's a hell of a lot better than having our guys dig holes, by hand. And so, and that's about it. We changed, LRS, who usually was our garbage people, they were bought out by GFL, so you might be seeing GFL trucks around, and I'm sure somewhere along the line, somebody's gonna decide to change everybody's garbage cans again, so they say GFL, but.
I don't know, they were working through the contract, 27 is our contract?
Yeah. So
I doubt if we'd see a change in that yet, then,
Right, yeah.
It's,
The contract is honored as is, it is now
Right.
written, it was bought, the contract and the system was bought as is.
yeah,
Yeah, it's not, nothing would change until the next contract comes up in 27th, and that's, that'll be negotiable, so. And, all right, now we got resolution 13-2025. A preliminary resolution declaring intent to exercise special assessment powers under section 66.0703 Wisconsin statutes. Now therefore be resolved that the Common Council of the City of Juneau, Wisconsin hereby declares its intention to exercise its police power under section 66.0703 Wisconsin statutes to levy special assessments upon properties within the following described area for benefits covered upon such properties by the following improvements. 1. Areas to be improved and nature of improvements. The assessment district is all property fronting upon both sides of the following streets or portion of streets. East Oak Street, commencing at the intersection with Main Street and running east to the intersection with Fair Street within the city of Juneau, Dodge County, Wisconsin. The assessment district includes the following tax parcels: 2241, 1115, 2141, 000, 241, 1115, 2141, 001, 241, 1115, 2141, 002, 241, 1115, 2232, 241, 1115, 2232, 241, 115, 2232, 241, 115, 2232, 036, 241, 1115, 2232, 037, 241, 115, 2232, 038, 241, 115, 2232, 039, 241-1115-2232-040, 241-115-2232-041, 241-115, yeah, I got that, okay, 2232-042, 241-1115-2232-043, 241-115-2232-044, 241-1115-2232-045, 241-115-2232-046, and lastly, 241-115-2232-047. C, reconstruction improvements include but are not limited to the following: sanitary sewer, water main, storm sewer, concrete curb and gutter, concrete sidewalk, concrete driveway aprons, concrete/asphalt/gravel driveway repairs, asphalt street pavement, turf restoration, and other related construction. The total amount assessed against such district shall not exceed the total cost of the improvements. The Common Council determines that such improvements shall be made under the police power, and the amount assessed against said parcels shall be reviewed and approved by the Common Council at the time of the public hearing. 3, the city engineer is directed, the city engineer is directed to prepare a report consisting of A, preliminary plans for said improvements, B, an estimate of the entire cost of the proposed improvements, C, a proposed estimated assessments, D, a funding of whether or not the abutting properties are benefited by the proposed improvements. Upon completing the report, the city engineer is directed to file a copy thereof in the city clerk's office for public inspection. 4, the city clerk shall cause notice to be given stating the nature of the proposed improvements, the general boundary of the proposed assessment district, the time and place at which the report may be inspected, and the time and place of the public hearing on the matters contained in the preliminary resolution and the report. This notice shall be published as a Class 1 notice under Chapter 985 Wisconsin statutes, and a copy shall be mailed at least 10 days before the hearing to every property owner whose name appears on the assessment roll, whose post office address is known or can be ascertained with reasonable diligence. The public hearing shall be held at a place, date, and time set by the city clerk in accordance with Section 66.003 Wisconsin statute. I move for the passage of Resolution 13/2025.
Motion by Rungy, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Evans. Any further discussion?
I was just wondering on all these parcels though, water and sewer laterals, were they replaced at this time, or did they not need to be replaced?
All of them were done under the lead inspection program, so they didn't have to pay for that, but the city had to pay for their share from the main to the shut-off. So the ones that were owned by the private property owners were all included in a program that paid for it. So there was no out-of-pocket cost to the individual property owners down here. Curb, gutter, and sidewalk is what they'll be assessed for. And that's our standard assessment program throughout the city. Unless we get grant money, if we're able to show a low income level in a particular block, and we're lucky enough to get grant money, then we're not allowed to assess for curb, gutter, sidewalk, or anything along the street, so. Any other
It's just the time
questions?
to do it, so that's why I asked.
Yep.
They didn't do it, so.
Yeah, got a little bit more involved. We had some inaccurate records as far as the water main. We knew when Highway 26 was done in 2001. We did stub it off at 26, and we thought we took it down the full block fronting the courthouse, but turned out it wasn't. It wasn't replaced that far. We abandoned the water main on Miller Street when the residents all along Miller Street got tore down, and there was no need for a water main in front of the place anymore, so that was all abandoned at that time, so we just assumed that it went down that far. But we did that in-house, so the record keeping probably wasn't so good. I mean, as far as we didn't hire an engineering firm to execute it, we just got it done off of another project or something like that, so. And then also, we missed one block by the west side of Quick Trip, one block of South Main Street. We discovered that we had some lead water services that didn't get picked up during the program and whatever, so those are being done at this time, so. As far as we know, we should be lead-free throughout the community, and we made our deadline to get it done, so that was the main thing. So, DNR should be off our back for at least that much. No further questions, roll call vote, please.
Rungy,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Chapman,
Aye.
Woody,
Aye.
Justman,
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Resolution 13, 2025 is passed.
Okay, number 3, first reading, repeal ordinance 10.04.090, ordinance 10.04.090, weight limits for certain streets. The Common Council of the City of Juneau ordains to amend ordinance 10.04.090 to read as follows. Nothing. It would be for the repeal of the ordinance as a whole, and all weight limits in the City of Juneau. And the first reading is today, April 15th, 2025.
It'll be the first reading next month is when you'll be able to vote on it. So. Just so everybody's aware, Jim will not have to reread this resolution next month. We can waive the second reading for all the assessments. So.
Right. I was gonna do it this time, but.
No, you gotta do it one time.
Yeah.
So. Okay, any other things from Public Works? Anything I can recall, we did meet with an engineer at Wild Goose Park to do some prelim as far as the water issues up there. I spent maybe an hour with him. Dave spent half the afternoon, if not all the afternoon, I think. We met down to the city garage, discussed the issues down there, and bring him up to speed of what we're up against down there. Overwhelming problem down there is our ditch or piping system through the center of the community and along the old railroad bed is not of adequate size to handle all the water that we've got dumping into it. All the topography throughout our community exceeds the capacity of that, of those storm tubes that we have running under each East Oak Street, Center Street, East Oak Grove Street, out to the city limit edge. So that's probably gonna be the recommendation number one, is to get a better receiving pipe. We start speeding things up in the Wild Goose Park as far as doing more paving and more piping of storm sewer. If we don't have a ditch or a piping system that can handle it to the south, we're just gonna overwhelm it even more. So we're looking for some recommendations from him. They kind of specialized in waterworks work, and I know Joe did do some digging along with the street crew there on the east side of our city limit edge, abutting the Nails property, trying to find the old tiles. They did expose a lot of them. There's no water through them, so obviously they're plugged farther up the way too. So keep working on that, and hopefully we'll come up with some kind of solution. So that's all I know about Public Works beyond that. So moving on, we got Recreation Committee, Jane. Oh, excuse me. Cable, Jane.
Cable TV did not meet, but the future of cable TV is a community media source. We're gonna be looking at whether we wanna continue cable TV operation. There's a demand, well, we're looking, is there a demand among residents for it? If there is a demand, could it be served by a local nonprofit? If we decide not to continue the local cable TV, we may look at repurposing the equipment for continuing filming of city meetings if cable TV is no longer a viable platform. We have funding challenges, equipment challenges. The city's been very good to cable TV, but the broadcaster that is aging, and David is there like every week making sure that it continues to play because it just shuts down, and the cost to replace the broadcaster would be very expensive. So, and most people are watching church services et cetera, other things on apps, you know, community apps. And the status of the OWL project was not viable as we were not able to obtain an Apple ID. So that's just what cable TV is looking at, and that's all I have.
Do we still get money from Spectrum?
Franchise fees?
Yes, we do
Franchise
get,
fees? Okay.
About 13,000 a year,
And-
thereabouts.
you know, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that, because, you know,
Okay.
the city's been very good. Those funds can be used for anything, but they
Right.
have been solely used for cable TV. But still, even with those franchise fees, it's not feasible to replace that cable, the broadcaster. A lot of the times when you buy the equipment, it's already outdated.
Yeah, okay.
We're actually one of the few communities around the area that have a cable channel anymore on TV. If you go, most of them are all blacked out, Beaver Dam Horicon, they're all just,
Most people watch it on YouTube or something. If
green
it's-
screen or whatever. But we're obligated to make these meetings public, correct? We're not obligated? Well, the reason for buying the owls was,
We thought we could just put them into our iPad and record it, but without an Apple ID, the processing of how it's showed is not very viable because you have to have the Apple ID for more editing. And it came, I don't know if you saw the email with the top part was just, it was all over the place and it picked up every time somebody shuffled the paper, and you can't edit it very well without an Apple
Okay.
ID, so.
we've talked about this on so many occasions.
It would have been
at
wonderful,
cable.
but,
Yeah.
well,
Okay. Anything else for Jane? Say none. CDA, we did not have a meeting. Rec Committee, Jane again.
that meeting was canceled, but I do have a resolution here to read. Resolution 14, 2025, approved to hire Hunter Karnitz, is that correct?
Ordinance.
That's it?
Recreation Director, whereas the Recreation Committee has advertised for and interviewed applicants for the position of Recreation Director for the city of Juneau, and whereas the Personnel Committee recommends that Hunter Karnitz be hired at $23.60 per hour with a 6-month orientation period, contingent on passing drug screen and physical. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of the city of Juneau accepts this aforementioned recommendation passed by the Common Council of the city of Juneau this 15th day of April 2025. I move to approve resolution 14, 2025.
Motion by Foodie, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Adjustment. Any further discussion? I know I was sat in as well as Richard on both the interviews, and he seems like a very good candidate, I think. Knows he's got to move here, or move close here anyway, because he knows the responsibilities of the job make it pretty difficult, driving back and forth from Whitewater, whatever. He lives around the Whitewater area. And he says as long as there was Walmart within driving distance, that was his one requirement. So, within a reasonable distance, he said. So, but yeah, he's got a background in this stuff, and hope we can move forward and appease the people and start offering more programs for our kids and what have you. It's expensive to have a full-time rec director in this community. We got to get some bang for our buck. And I think that's the bottom line there. So, Jane, hopefully you'll have luck in moving things forward there with the rec committees. That's about all I got. Unless there's anything else you wanted to add.
No, I'm looking forward to working with them.
Okay. Nothing further. Roll call vote.
Foodie,
Aye.
Justman,
Aye.
Chapman,
Aye.
Evans,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Rungy.
Aye.
Younger gentleman, he's married and has one 2.5-year-old daughter, I guess. So hopefully we can keep him around for a while. Do you know the results? Has he gone through the drug test? And
Still waiting. We're still waiting
Oh,
for
still waiting.
results. Yeah.
Okay, very good. Moving on, Utility Commission. Richard.
Utility Commission, we had a visit from Brad Stuczynski, I think, maybe, from MSA. He joined us to talk about the continuing water issues in the city. far as the smell in the water and the taste, the chlorine issues. Alex, and for you guys that don't know, Alex is our water superintendent, Alex. What's his last name? Schmoody.
Water, wastewater.
Wastewater, yeah. Alex has been compiling results of using different chlorine dosage additions and cross-referencing that with consumer complaints. And Brad offered some possible options, including shock chlorination, chemical rehab, and or changing the well media. Of course, they're all costly options. And we had a pretty long discussion about this, and the commission decided at this time to continue with the directional flushing plan that MSA had previously endorsed. Underground water and sewer lines have been installed on the East Oak Street project. The DNR inspected the 3 wells in the city and found no violations. Lori reported that her audit went well. She also mentioned that Spectrum replaced some equipment and the phone system seems to be working better, but better. Nick reported that the light poles on East Oak Street are down due to the construction, so it's darker up there. And also the commission urges their customers who have graduating high school students to apply for the utility scholarships that are available. Look for an insert in your inside your monthly bill. So that's about all I have.
Yeah, I just want to let the residents watching that the utility commission isn't sitting on their hands on this water issue in town here. It's just a really tough egg to crack. We got several issues that are against us, and it's just so hard when the DNR comes out with a mandate. The problem was that we weren't getting the chlorine out on the extreme ends of our water lines. That was the problem. So naturally, when you step up the chlorine at the wells, the people closest to the wells are going to complain about the chlorine smell and the taste and what have you. And we did spend $20,000 for MSA to do a study looking at our water lines and what have you, and do some jetting or some flushing, and you just don't open up any hydrant and get some benefit. You got to do it systematically in order to get some benefit from your flushing. And there's years of accumulation that are on our older mains that the chlorine will latch to. And as that chlorine works and what have you and dissolves it, then you tend to get an odor or what have you. So that's what it's all about. We're not just ignoring the problem, we're trying to do something with it, but they told us right away it's not an easy problem to fix. Naturally, when you're talking about a water tower and a massive water system and whatever, to get it to every corner of your distribution system is difficult and whatever. So these are not problems that are going to go away overnight unless they reduce the requirement on the municipality of the amount of chlorine that they can put into the water system or whatever, as it was when everybody was happy with the water. But it wasn't getting out to the far ends of the system with the amount of chlorine or fluoride and what have you. It's all, we do a very minimal injection of this stuff, but since the DNR mandate came through, we had to step it up, and that's where our problems arise. So the utility commission is not sitting on their hands. They're proactive on trying to get this thing fixed, but they just ask for the public's patience in getting it resolved. So.
Yeah, I never smell it up in my house.
And Doug, he lives up on an actual dead-end main up there. You would think he would have it more than somebody that's on a main that circulates, but he probably got a pretty good draft beside you on you're on Oak
Hilltop, sir.
Hilltop Circle, but Oak, what is that drive? What is the drive that goes by it? Ridge Road. Yeah, there's probably a pretty good siphon that goes across there that probably, backs that.
That goes across and comes in by us.
Right.
Okay.
So anyway, yeah, just anybody viewing out there, just so you know that they are actively working on Nothing else to add on utility?
I got a question, this is Matt, since you're here tonight, and Dick, you had talked about the possibility of saving money because of the fluoride, the drain. If we got rid of the fluoride, it would save quite a bit on and we looked at getting rid of the fluoride. It seems to be quite an issue everywhere.
To rehabilitate the well houses,
Yeah,
if we did away with fluoride, yes.
okay.
But we're not, MSA is not saying that we need to do that at this time. We're not even touching that one yet. We're going with their recommendations to, for addition of chemicals and the directional flushing. I mean, the flushing will take place the end of May and June, and month of June.
Okay, but that wouldn't have anything to do with the fluoride, would it, the flushing?
No, it wouldn't. It might take away some of that chlorine.
Okay. I was more looking at fluoride, because I've had people asking me about the fluoride, and now other communities have gotten rid of fluorides, and now the federal government, the EPA and whatever, they're all looking at getting rid of fluoride, making it actually not a law, but a recommendation.
The fluoride issue is not a utility issue.
Right, I know, it comes from the council,
Right.
but it would save you guys money when you have to redo the well houses, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, because that's gotta be contained in a separate room,
Okay,
because it's very corrosive.
okay. All right,
We inject very little fluoride into our water.
Fluoride appears at 4.04,
yeah.
and we take it to 0.07.
All right.
I mean, we're not using a whole lot of fluoride.
Yeah, I guess that's just a controversial issue, whether it's beneficial or not. I think that's
I'm
each
sure if you
community
talk to a dentist, he would say it's
beneficial.
Right. But, I mean, it's hard to say
Yeah.
whether or not it's beneficial or not.
Council issue, and it would have to probably come from what, Public Works, I would think?
It would come from committee level
Yeah.
Yeah.
and are going to be discussed.
In fact, the ordinance is written that Public Works is handling it.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Any old business tonight? Any new business? I guess I forgot at last council meeting, I would like to thank Dave Grattan and Kay Morose for their years of service to the Common Council. Dave has been a Plan Commission member for 30 years. 1995, he was appointed by Mayor John Fabish, and he elected to step down this last election cycle there, and he said more me and she time, so I guess he's gonna be spending a little more time with his wife and what have you, but Dave was always a gracious member, wasn't overbearing or outspoken by any means, but when he spoke, it was always worth listening to, and he became a good friend of mine, and I do have a plaque of appreciation, but unfortunately, he's already doing that me time, he's up north, so he couldn't come to this meeting, so we'll look at getting that to him this next monthly meeting, so. Appreciate both of their efforts, they both had expertise in different fields, and like I said, Dave became a good friend of mine just throughout this. I enticed him to join the utility commission when I was utility president, and his wife and him were very influential about getting me to run for mayor 11 and a half years ago. So then after I was mayor, I made Dave come on board as a councilman, so you gotta be careful what you wish for. So. But yeah, I want to say thank you to both of those people. They're both good. Kay had expertise in other areas there that was beneficial to our council. And we want to wish them both the best. So. Moving on, approved regular bartender's license expires June 30th, 2025. Looking for approval for Allison Hutchison, Jacob Longoria, and Jake Siegel. Is there a motion to that effect?
You have to do the provisional
Provisional.
first.
Provisional, excuse me. Right.
Should be-
Is there a motion to that? Oh, excuse me, I added one, yeah. Let's try it again. Entertain a motion to accept approval for Allison Hutchinson and Jacob Longoria. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion by Rangi,
Second.
second by Chapman. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. Approve regular bartender's license expire on June 30th, 2025 for Allison Hutchison, Jacob Longoria, and Jake Siegel. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Motion by Rangi, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Lee. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Any other important tidbits that we can take up at this time? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make it again if nobody else wants to.
Motion by Rangi, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Chapman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. This meeting is closed.